Happy Monday! Hopefully you're staying warm. My watch says it is finally above 0 degrees, so baby steps. We're getting there. Today's Lunch and Learn topic was requested. So anybody who has seen me for pelvic floor therapy knows how much your diaphragm has to do with pelvic floor symptoms. So much so, we go over at day one. There's a lot of stuff that I love to go over with patients, but you have to kind of prioritize what you talk about when. And diaphragm is right up there. After pelvic floor, which is more of a group of muscles, diaphragm may be my favorite single muscle in the entire body. So we have four sort of little subcategories that I want to talk about today. This video will be much shorter than last week's. So just first to kind of start with some anatomy. So your diaphragm lives underneath your rib cage. So your rib cage comes here. Your diaphragm makes up that entire muscle underneath that rib cage. You can kind of think of it like an umbrella. When you open the umbrella, it kind of fans out, and the diaphragm does that. It is designed to help you breathe, but it has so many fun extra benefits that we're going to go over here in just a second and sort of talk about how it's connected to the pelvic floor. So your diaphragm up here and your pelvic floor down here, they form a piston, so they will often mirror each other. And while it's hard to necessarily control your pelvic floor, it's a little easier to control your breathing. So we use breathing to influence what's happening at the pelvic floor. So it will move, gosh, this is so hard to do backwards. It will move up and down together, similar to a trampoline, right, that needs to be able to go down and then come back up as well. So kind of keep that visual in your mind. Your pelvic floor is actually designed to squeeze and help stabilize your core anytime you are moving, right? So think about this part of your body as being a canister. We've got diaphragm, pelvic floor, your abdominals are the front and the side, and then you've got back muscles back here. So your pelvic floor is the bottom of that canister, and really anytime you are lifting or moving, that pelvic floor should turn on when you are exhaling specifically. So why is that important? Well, if you are leaking with certain exercises, you can kind of hack the system a little bit and really focus on exhaling while you're doing the hard work. So when you are lifting something, to exhale, that's going to encourage that diaphragm to come up and encourage that pelvic floor to activate a little bit better as well. So just kind of one way you can use your breath to influence what's happening at the pelvic floor. Another reason why your diaphragm and pelvic floor are important together is when we actually want things to relax and open in the pelvic floor. Well, that would need to be when we need those openings to stay open. Peeing, pooping, intimacy, all of that. So kind of on the flip side of when we want everything to squeeze and come up, we do want those muscles to relax and stay open to have better bowel movements, right? So if you're struggling with incomplete emptying of your bowel movements, pain with bowel movements, not really feeling like you're emptying your bladder all the way, some discomfort and trouble relaxing during intercourse or a pelvic exam, you can take some deep breaths and then really utilize that diaphragm to help keep the pelvic floor open. So the next point that I'm going to make is probably the biggest aha moment that happens for a lot of patients when we start discussing this, and that is the influence on both bowel health and your nervous system. So with your diaphragm, it is designed to help you breathe, but most of us don't breathe that way. Most of us breathe up here, upper traps, all these accessory muscles, which is why so many people wind up with upper trap pain, headaches, neck pain. And so when you utilize your diaphragm to breathe more effectively, one pleasant side effect is every time you breathe and that diaphragm comes down, it is massaging and compressing your bowels. So it will help with regularity of bowel movements, right? You need that compression from the diaphragm to kind of keep everybody moving along and to help prevent constipation. So another sort of just fun anatomy fact is you have a nerve called your vagus nerve, not like Las Vegas, but Vagus, Vagus, and it actually runs right through the middle of your diaphragm. That nerve is the primary driver in your rest and digest system. So most of us have heard of our fight or flight or our rest and digest system. They kind of work on a continuum. So you can think of them like a dimmer switch. So if you have your fight or flight system turned on, that light is bright. That is your body's way of keeping everybody on guard, trying to run away from the tiger so that you can stay alive. Muscles are all tense, heart rate's high. It can feel very stressful. Well, the antidote to that is the rest and digest system. So that's when you take that dimmer switch and start to bring it down a little bit more. And you can directly influence that with your diaphragm, right? So when you take that nice deep belly breath, which I'm going to show you here in just a second, you can stimulate that vagus nerve and start to bring that dimmer switch down, which is super helpful for stress. If you're having a lot of pain, if you just need to chillax, the breathing is a great way to sort of tap into that nervous system and help with some muscle relaxation. So how do you do belly breathing? So I'm going to turn the computer and then sit on the bed, and hopefully you all can hear me. Okay, so what you can do is put one hand on your chest, one hand on your tummy, and when you take a breath in, I want your belly to get big or your ribs to go out this way, but not this way. Okay, so watch me. And then just exhale like normal. You can see if I go from the side, my ribs come out. Or if I turn to the side, and when I do that, the reason my belly comes out is because the abdominal organs have to go somewhere when they're getting compressed by that diaphragm. So if you do just a couple of those deep belly breaths, that is your diaphragm that you are activating, and you have all these fun benefits, either specifically to your pelvic floor, your bowel health, your mental health, just your nervous system in general will thank you. As a society, we tend to live up here in fight or flight, and our body does need to come down a little bit. If you're having trouble falling asleep at night, do that belly breathing and just count your breaths. It kind of gives your mind something else to think about. And then from a physiological standpoint, you are tapping into that nervous system to help calm everything down and get it ready for bed. So this was shorter than last time, so hopefully you guys learned something. If you did, comment me or something. The more comments that are on the videos, the more they show up for other people. At the end of the day, I just want people to learn kind of what the pelvic floor is and little tips and tricks and hacks and things that you can do to make your life a little bit better. Oh gosh, I forgot to look up what next week's is, so I don't have that, but be on the lookout. Sunday it will post for what next Monday's video is going to be about, and I will see you next week. Stay warm.